Hi, everybody. I am Cothren English. I am the Area Director for the North Carolina chapter. I'm so excited to have you here with us today. I am joined by Chris Owens, our Southern Division Senior Director, and area directors from all of our chapters across the Southern Division, including Wendy Thompson from the Arkansas chapter and Stuart Winborn from the Georgia chapter, who are going to speak with us tonight as well. We're also joined by three incredible guest speakers who are going to share some information about events that they've participated in and tips and tricks that help make them so successful with their events. So, the first thing we want to do tonight is really just say thank you so much for serving as a leader for our Out of the Darkness campus walks. Again, we are still in the middle of a global pandemic. This is going to be another year quite unlike, what normal events would normally be. So we're really excited to be together tonight so that we can all talk about some strategies for success, what it can look like during this, challenging year, brainstorm some great ideas, hopefully have some wonderful discussion. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join us. And we know that some people have been involved with events for many years, and some people are joining us for the very first time with an Out of the Darkness walk this year. So we wanted to kick things off with Stuart kind of giving us a history of campus walks, real brief, don't worry, and talk a little bit about why they're so important.
Thank you so much, Cothren. Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you. Next slide. Thank you, Cothren. My name is Stuart Winborn, and I am the area director for the Georgia chapter. And I just wanted to echo everything Cothren said. We are so grateful for all of you guys for being here and for working on the campus walks. I know you all put in a lot of hard work, really year round, to make the campus walks a success. So thank you for being here and for everything you do. Next slide. So why do we walk to prevent suicide? So suicide is actually the second leading cause of death between young people between the ages of 15 and 34. So it's really a relevant cause for the demographic of college students as well as high school students. Next slide. Also, our Out of the Darkness campus walks are really the signature fundraising event and signature engagement event for young people. It's a great way for young people to kind of get engaged with AFSP and learn more about what we do. And many times our campus walk chairs and our campus walk committees will start off, working on an Out of the Darkness walk and then get involved with our chapter in a more in-depth level after that. Next slide. So where do the funds raised from the Out of the Darkness walks go? So really they go to bringing programming to a local level. So at AFSP, our mission is to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide. And we really do that in four main ways. Number one, we're the largest funder of suicide prevention research. So a lot of the money that we raise through these walks goes towards funding scientific research. Number two, we advocate for life-saving legislation, things like better access to mental health care. So the funds that we raise go towards our advocacy work. Number three is we bring education programs to the communities and to schools, like all of your college campuses. And then number four, we support survivors of suicide loss. And so again, all the money that we raise goes towards funding those individual programs. A little bit about AFSP. And I think I'm probably going to be repeating myself. Next slide, Cothren. Like I said before, our mission is to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide. And next slide. And we really think of ourselves as a grassroots meets science organization. And again, really work towards research, education, advocacy, and supporting loss survivors to fight for the fight against suicide. Next. We were founded in 1987, both by researchers and families that were personally touched by suicide. And even though we started off as a very small organization, now we have over 1 million people across the country and chapters in all 50 states that are really working towards our mission every day. So how does a campus walk help prevent suicide? So we influence change, and we do that in several different ways. Next slide. And you can go to the next bullet point, please. So we raise awareness about the issue in AFSP. So when we have a walk on campus, we're talking about suicide and we're talking about mental health, and we're really raising more awareness about the issue. We're doing that not only at the walk itself, but also in any events leading up to the walk, like tabling, give back events, marketing, and all of that. We're also reducing stigma. So when you're talking about mental health and you're talking about suicide, you're helping to combat some of that stigma that exists and let people know it's okay to talk about and it's okay to get help. We're also educating people on the campus, students, faculty, the community about suicide and mental health conditions, and teaching them, what are the warning signs, what are the risk factors, what are the different mental health concerns. And then also the funds raised actually bring educational programs directly back onto the campus themselves. So the money that you all raise through these walks goes right back into the campus. Next slide, please. Next bullet point. So our walks are really unique in that they provide a safe space for really anybody. They provide a safe space for somebody who's been personally impacted by suicide. Maybe they've lost a loved one, a friend or a family member, or maybe themselves, they have lived experience, meaning they have suffered from, suicidal ideation or a mental health condition. And it provides a safe space with no judgment, a place for people to come together and rally around this cause. It also, the walks connect students to support on campus and in the community. So one of the great things about our walks, whether they're virtual or in person, is that we, can promote different resources that are on campus, counseling resources or resources in the community. And so you're really educating students about what types of support that are available for them. And then again, we're letting students know that it's okay to seek help. At AFSP, we really talk a lot about how mental health needs to be treated just like physical health, and that, there are certain times where if you're not feeling well, you need to go see a doctor. And the same should go for our mental health. And so we are educating students through these walks that it's okay to go out and seek help, and that, there's nothing wrong with that. And it should be seen as a sign of strength. And then it attracts media coverage. Positive media coverage is always great for any school and any college campus. And this is a way to attract some positive media coverage for your school. Next slide, please. So now we're going to talk a little about outreach and fundraising. I want to introduce Eden Taylor. Eden is our University of Georgia Campus Walk Chair. A little bit about the UGA Walk. Last year, they were our #1 fundraising campus walk in the nation. So kudos to UGA. They raised almost $95,000. Eden is a brand new walk chair this year, but she served on the walk committee last year, and she's going to talk a little bit about some of the things they did to make the walk a success. So I'm going to turn it over to Eden.
Okay, well, thank you all for having me tonight. So we were able to have a lot of success last year with our walk, and I think a lot of that was attributed to our outreach. Last year, our president, Miranda, kind of started us off with asking each of our executive members, because our pre-counseling club is the one that hosts it. And so each of our exec members were asked to kind of list out their connections, which is like Greek life, other clubs that they're involved with, their jobs, and to see what connections we had to play off of. After that, we found a lot of success reaching out to Greek life in other clubs, in club sports. It takes a little bit of digging, but for like sororities or fraternities that we didn't have connections with, we were able to find their emails on the Panhellenic website. Most of the time they have at least one contact listed. And then for the club and the club sports, we found them on our involvement website. And then we would send them kind of a mass email that introduced AFSP and what the walk is about and when the walk was. And then we asked them if we could speak at their chapter events or if they could spread the word on to make a team. And most of the time we heard stuff back. Sometimes we didn't, so we would follow up again. And then once we spoke at the chapters, I think that was where we found the most success, when we were actually able to see people face to face, or now I guess this year mostly virtually. And so then we would leave posters with the walk and get them to create a team. We would always remind people when encouraging them to sign up that it was free to sign up, but we asked that they share their walk pages to the social media. And this kind of encourages their friends and family to donate and to help them reach an individual fundraising goal that they set up. For more outreach, we did a lot of like posters around campus, and on all of the posters, we included a QR code that led us directly to the registration website. So that way it's kind of like right in front of people. And then we also had our members encourage all of their classes to sign up just by like putting it in the group me, like, hey, here's a walk, the Out of the Darkness walk. And this just got a lot of like attraction from individual walkers, or that would go on to start a team for their clubs or whatever. Going off of that, we also reached out to each of the individual colleges within UGAs, like their outreach director, to ask them to share their information to the email listservs. Because as we know, suicide is something that affects all people of all different backgrounds. So just getting it out to all different majors and everything was really helpful for us. And then we started an email listing of our own. So anyone we met from like the sororities, anyone we got in contact with, we would add them to this email list. And that way we could tell them about our give back nights or other events that we had related to the walk. And that was really helpful for us just to have everyone like a general space. So as last year with COVID, as things started shifting, we were able to get in contact with everyone really fast and quickly. But then for tabling something we did pretty much every Wednesday for 2 months before the walk. And we signed up in a really high population spot, like right by the main bus stop, because that way we get to see a lot of people. And we would hand out flyers with the walk, again, with the QR code on. So it's just like right there so people can pull out their phones and sign up really easy. And then we also had a place so we could collect their emails and add them to our little list. And that way we keep getting in contact with them. But just anyone we met, we would encourage them to make a walker team or sign up by themselves and then share to their social medias. And then we had a really successful give back night. We thought of somewhere that was convenient for everyone in Athens and that was popular. So we picked Chipotle because they also have they give back the most. I think they give back 33%, but you have to reach their minimum. Last year, one of the fraternities offered to pay for the minimum to feed their chapter. And so that way we were guaranteed money back, which was really awesome. Hopefully we'll be able to have that again. But if not, I think it's $150 that you have to guarantee, and then you get 50 back. But that's the biggest thing. This year, Chipotle you can do it on their app, and so people can do it virtually and stay safe, which I think is really awesome. And then we also made sure to schedule it on Mondays, because this is when all the chapter meetings are. So we could go and speak at a sorority and say, hey, by the way, please go to Chipotle tonight. Say you're with pre-counseling club. And then that gets a lot of high traffic. And so those are kind of the main things we did this year. It's to gain momentum early in the semester. And so kind of like the month or two before the walk, that's really when things start to pick up. So it's about this time of the year. And this is when we really start going to chapters and getting more out there just to try to get people to sign up. And so hopefully we'll be able to have success like last year again. But yes, I think that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Eden.
Eden, congratulations on that great success last year. That's wonderful, and some great ideas there. I really liked what you said, especially about the fraternity helping you with the guaranteed amount. That's a great tip. We also want to introduce to you Sarah Cothren. She is joining us from North Carolina. She was the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill campus walk chair. And what was kind of unique about Sarah is she didn't actually go to the school. She started the event without being a student there. She had attended another school that had been part of the UNC system, but then moved to the Chapel Hill area when she got involved with AFSP. And wanted to go ahead and get a walk started. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about the success that she had there, bringing it her very first year to be our second largest campus walk here in North Carolina, and a little bit about some of the tips and tricks she had to bring that to such great success. And I want to say also that Sarah is turning the reins over this year to Katie, who is also on the phone today. So thank you, Katie, for joining us and being part of it tonight. because Sarah Cothren actually just joined us as a staff member, and she is our new North Carolina Chapter Associate Area Director. So thanks for all your success, Sarah, and I'll turn it over to you now, please.
Thank you. I kind of wanted to, before I jump into my stuff, I'm going to piggyback off of what Eden just said about the Greek life. And while it's good to go into chapters and tell them about your event, they also, when they pay their dues every month, a portion of that dues gets set aside for philanthropy. So you could also go to chapter and show them a sponsorship packet and potentially get some donations from that chapter specifically for the event. So yeah, that's another great idea. So like Cothren said, I was not a student at UNC. I actually went to Appalachian State University up in the mountains. And then I moved to Chapel Hill, and our area director asked me if I would be willing to start a walk at UNC. And of course, without thinking about it, I jumped on it because I was super excited to start a walk. And then I realized a couple of hours after accepting, I was like, I don't know anything about UNC. So what do I do? So I'm going to help you guys strategize just in case you're not a student on the campus. So in my opinion, connectivity was probably the thing that suffered the most and could potentially suffer the most when leading a walk on a campus that you're not directly affiliated with. And some ways that you can mitigate that is by contacting organizations that are likely to buy into a mental health related fundraiser. So the first two organizations that I reached out to was Mental Health Ambassadors, who they're a national organization. So they've got clubs on campuses all across the nation. So you guys probably have a mental health ambassadors on your own campus that you could reach out to. I also contacted We Wear the Mask, which is a minority focused mental health group. So those were my two partnering organizations in the first year of the walk. And then you could also reach out to the Psychology Club, Active Minds. There are several different types of clubs you could reach out to. And I'm pretty sure most of the universities' little web page that shows you the clubs, you can drill it down to specific types of clubs. So I looked up mental health related clubs. And it's really important to build a close relationship with the officers in those clubs, especially because you're not on campus. So you need to be pretty close to them so that you know what's going on with campus, you know when their spring breaks are, you know when events are being held on campus that could be competitive with your event, when it comes to scheduling when you want your walk to be. So when reaching out to organizations, be sure to prioritize spending energy on the ones that are well connected to the school. So if they've got lots of members, if they have lots of events, they've got a large presence on campus, they're super active, they table a lot of events, you know, all the students know them. So that's really important for connectivity. Another thing to focus on is broad outreach. So be sure to contact various different student organizations. While it's really crucial to develop a relationship with your partnering organization, it's equally important to develop relationships with other organizations because you don't want to solely rely on your partnering organization to build the relationships on campus to make your event successful. You need to be a part of the conversation too. So I contacted mental health ambassadors. I knew a couple of people in there that I was talking to often. And then I was also contacting We Wear the Mask and a bunch of other different groups. I contacted the school newspaper, Daily Tar Heel, so that I could get the word out about the event there. I wasn't relying solely on my partnering organizations to reach out to those other organizations and clubs. So building your committee. When trying to build your planning committee, it can be tough since you're not a student on campus. A way that you can try to build your committee is by reaching out to your partnering organization as well as other groups such as the psychology department, public health department, counseling center, mental health clubs, etc., to see if they have any students or officers in mind that possess the right leadership skills to serve on the planning committee. Other ways to increase awareness. So Eden kind of hit on quite a bit of these, but I'll just go over it again. Raising awareness as an off-campus walk chair is not as easy as if you were a student on campus, but there's still a few great ways to increase awareness of your walk on campus without having to host any on-campus events. So you could partner with a local restaurant to host a percent night. That way students who frequent the restaurant will learn about your walk. So we had a couple of percent nights on Franklin Street, which is a very popular street in Chapel Hill where all of the students go out. You want to make sure that you post flyers about the percent night and the walk, of course, all across campus, literally everywhere, and also attend the percent night yourself and any other events, whether it's a percent night or something else. If you're unable to attend, try to make sure that you've got somebody from your planning committee present. And if you do conduct a percent night, ask the restaurant if you can set up a table inside so that you can hand out your walk and event flyers and any other AFSP information. Another reason it's a good idea to table at the restaurant for the duration of the percent night is because a lot of restaurants require their patrons to say that they're there for that specific percent night in order for the proceeds to go to the charity. And so you can catch people entering the restaurant on their way in, and you can let them know that you're hosting a percent night, and to ask to have them ask the cashier to give the money back to your walk. Incentivizing. So with the amount of things competing for our time and attention, we're far more likely to attend an event when we're getting something out of it, whether that's spending time with people that we enjoy hanging out with or something tangible. So when I was leading the UNC Walk, I had great success with the events that brought students out to collect something tangible. And it also kind of guarantees that you're going to make a certain amount. So for example, I hosted a succulent sale where we had about 100 succulents and we were selling them for $5 each. And so we made $500. It's a given. And also, you guys should take that idea because the students loved it. We did, I think, maybe 3 succulent sales, and the succulents flew off the table. We had the table set aside for 3 hours, and we were done within an hour and a half each time. They were gone. So it was good that it was a given. Like, we knew that we were going to make 500 each event because we had plenty of time to advertise and market the event. And we had tons of students commenting saying, oh my gosh, can't wait, can't wait. So we knew that it was going to fly off the tables. Whereas with the percent night, it's kind of if you don't really know, if people are going to attend. But a way that you could make a solution for that is you could host a succulent sale at your percent night. So you could get permission from the restaurant and let them know that you anticipate attendance increasing dramatically if you're able to host the succulent sale at the restaurant. So you can have a table with all of your AFSP information and the walk event and all of your other supplementary wrap event information. And then you could have a table for the succulent sale so that students coming in, they can grab their succulent and go get food, or they can get their succulent on the way out. So you can try to combine the events and include items and prizes that students are actually interested in and will leave their dorms and apartments to collect. So last thing, ways to increase funding and encourage participants to increase funding. Send out regular emails to your walkers, giving them tips on how to increase donations to their donor page. There are tons of cute little graphics and ideas on Chapterland, which you guys should all have access to. And if you don't, contact your area director and they'll get you access to it. So have your participants tell their story and or the reason that they're walking. Potential donors are far more likely to get behind a cause that has touched or affects somebody that they know. So be vulnerable, be open with your story, and it'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Definitely some great tips there. And then Stuart, I think you've got one more person to introduce to us tonight.
I do. If you can go ahead and go to the next slide, Cothren, thank you. So I want to introduce David Edmiston. David is the philanthropy chair for the Sigma Chi Fraternity at UGA. He is also in a brand new role this year. He was not the philanthropy chair last year, but he has been in the Sigma Chi Fraternity. And Sigma Chi played a really instrumental role in the success of the UGA Walk. They raised $75,000 just in their fraternity alone. So David's going to talk a little bit about their strategy and what they did. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Sure. Hey, glad to be here. Last year was something crazy. It was a crazy start to our year, even before COVID, with Sam was actually a member of our fraternity who had just graduated the previous year. And then he passed actually in February. And so I think what you had said, whoever spoke last, was right on. It's like, you have to be personal. And that was our key to success, was being very personal. So I'm just going to go through just like the 5 things that we did to really spark and kind of raise this movement. when Sam passed, obviously, you want to be personal, but you have to kind of approach something so emotional the right way. And you can't just automatically throw out, hey, our friend died, give me money. Because that's what a lot of people, you don't want to publicize it too quick. But instead, we very strategically built this campaign where we developed a week where we decided, okay, during this week, we're going to raise as much money as we can. And then when it kind of gets to the end of this week, we're going to stop. We're going to shoot for it all at once, because the easiest way to motivate a team is to kind of give them a timetable of what we're going to do. And so what we did was we sat down, we made a plan, and we had a paragraph that we were unified on that we were going to post to Facebook through our accounts through the website. And but also we required everybody to write a personal story about what Sam meant to them and what suicide meant to them. And so we went ahead and we did that. And we went through Facebook, and we all the same night were unified in our message and all hit Facebook at once. So if you were one of, the thousands of friends that everybody has on Facebook, you saw that message, and that's all you saw the whole night. So you couldn't just scroll through it. With that, we were able to raise $40,000 in 48 hours, and it was unbelievable. It had blown us all away and kind of given us that sense of encouragement of like, oh my goodness, we're going to do this, and we're going to kill it. Just to kind of like give you a backstory, my fraternity is horrible at raising money. We're horrible fundraisers. We have a very large donor base. And so usually what we do is we have, like you said, part of our dues are set aside. We have $20,000 a year set aside, and we just make a donation to some foundation. Nobody has any personal connection to it. And then after this real year, last year, we kind of took a step back. We're like, you know what, this like feels good, and we're doing something. And so let's keep this up after that 48 hours. So then what we did was we continued on with our mental health week, is what we called it. And we had unified events for our fundraising team. So like one night, for example, everybody went to hot yoga together to go relieve stress. And what we did after that was we took to Instagram after that. And all of us have 1,000, 2,000 followers on Instagram. And so then we all hit our story, our Instagram story, with one picture that was all the same of Sam that had a little message next to it with a link. And the rest of us had a personal picture next. And again, that night, if you sat down on your phone, all you saw was suicide prevention. The kind of thing that took us over the edge, in my opinion, is that everybody you had to find a way to kind of draw other people and make it personal for other people. So what we did was we were a little edgy with our messages on social media. I think a lot of time you're like, oh, yay, like raising money, happy, happy, happy. But we were like, look, suicide sucks. That was our hashtag suicide sucks. And we just really went off like in our thing, got very emotional. And for a 20, 21, 22-year-old boy to get emotional on social media is kind of like, you're scrolling through, you're going, whoa, this guy hasn't posted anything in a half of a year, and he's going to hit me with this. And so that was kind of how we got everybody's attention. It was like, hey, like, I'm really passionate about this. Like, I want you to be passionate about this. And so that was kind of like, we had to be noticeable. So we kind of built behind this hashtag suicide sucks campaign that we hit social media unified together. It's really fun to kind of look at a cause and had everybody on the back for it and kind of be happy about it the whole time, and reach out to clubs and reach out to fraternities and sororities and show and be like, hey, I'm raising money for suicide and all this. But the reality at the end of the day, this is a very sensitive, harsh, and terrible topic to be speaking on. And so we would kind of say, hey, what I'm about to talk about, this is going to be horrible, and we're going to get through this together. I'm going to be very personal in my story with you. And I think that change up of approach to how we went about spreading awareness really caught people's attention. Or like, hey, we really like how this group of guys is getting behind this cause. And so I guess the last thing that really helped with our success was we set our goal low. We knew we were going to raise some money right off the bat. We set our goal really low. And every time we hit that goal, we celebrated our goal. And we made it very public that we hit our goal. And so everybody knew that we were gaining traction and we were succeeding. By doing that, we were making people feel left out. By every time I was posting my Venmo sheet on my Instagram story, and everybody was saying, man, he donated, she donated, his girlfriend donated. Now I got to do it because I feel bad if I don't do it. And so by kind of creating that, we unified kind of this UGA Greek system as a team together. And we were able to accomplish this absolutely, I mean, it was absolutely crazy what we were able to do. And we're excited to do it again. We're going to create a similar kind of social media push, something a little edgy. It's not going to be Suicide Sucks this year. It's going to be something else. And hopefully we can hit the ground running again. Eden, just while I have you, please let us sponsor your Chipotle thing. We'd love to do that. Anything that we can kind of team up on. And I think that connecting within the university is kind of what we did last year. Was we were able to pull some other fraternities and sororities. It's like, hey, what are you doing for philanthropy? And they're like, we have no idea. And we're like, well, give us a little money and we'll pull you in and attach your name to it. And so I think kind of pulling in some loose ends just to kind of get the ground going is go find some people who need philanthropy that don't necessarily have it yet, and get them to give you your money so you get a little base, and then celebrate that success and keep moving on. So that's kind of what we did.
Thank you so much, David. I really, really appreciate you sharing everything that you and Sigma Chi did. It was really, really amazing work.
Okay, thank you, David. That was so wonderful. You have so many great ideas, and I really just appreciate you and your passion and your energy. So thanks so much for sharing with us. I'm Wendy Thompson. I am the area director for the Arkansas chapter, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sponsorships. And let me just start by saying this is one way that you can really bump up your event. It's just one additional way to increase your revenue. And sponsorships are generally cash donations, or they can be in kind. And I'll touch on that a little more in a minute. But for your sponsoring organizations, basically it is a means of marketing for their company. And unlike other charitable contributions, a corporate sponsor is usually motivated by a desire to receive public acknowledgement in exchange for their support of your event. And so I would say, you know, sponsors, they sponsor for a lot of different reasons, and you're going to find out their reasons when you start talking, when you start building those relationships with them. So, for example, one of our sponsors, he didn't care about the logos on the back of the shirts. You know, that was of no interest to him. He was really connected to the cause. So he just wanted to show that his company supported suicide prevention. And he wasn't as concerned about the benefits that he got in exchange. Where there's other companies and that marketing is really important to them. That's why they want to be involved. They want to have their logo on the shirt, or they want to have their logo on the signage. So I would just say the key is when you start building these relationships with potential sponsors, this is a partnership with them. So you want to find out what they're looking for. And so that way you can really customize your sponsorship packet to them. And if they're happy and they feel like they're benefiting in some way, whether that is just showing the community that they support our cause, that can really keep them coming back year after year. For many of our sponsors in both our campus and community walks, we've had them coming back every single year since 2008. So it's really about building those relationships. And then when you're not working with them on the walk and you know, working on the sponsorship packet and the benefits, what can you do for them the rest of the year? Don't just let it be about walk time. You know, what program can you bring to them? What resources might be beneficial for their employees? So it's really, really about building those relationships and making sure that you're communicating year round, not just at walk time. So for the case, you know, with our campus walks, we really are building these partnerships. And what we're doing for them, as most of you are probably aware, we are promoting them with logos on shirts, logos on signage at the walks, mentioning them in our e-newsletter, on, you know, having their link on our website. And there's some other ways, you know, we will offer to do a program at their company if they sponsor at one of our benefit levels. So I would say make sure that you are working with your area director and you can really customize these sponsorship packets to meet the needs of the company. One thing that I do want to bring up that we did that seemed to be really, really helpful, because it can take a lot of work. All companies are different. Some companies want you to apply for a sponsorship a year before your event. Others, they may only want you to reach out the month before. So there has to be a lot of work on the front end. What we did was we had a volunteer, we had a brainstorming meeting with our committee, and we had a volunteer reach out to all the companies that we had listed on our spreadsheet and not make an ask at that time, but basically just get the information. When do we need to be applying for this sponsorship? Who do I need to ask? What is their contact information? Is it better if I email? Is it better? Do you have a process online? So it was really about finding out what their process is. And then you have that master spreadsheet year after year. You don't have to recreate it. You can update it with any notes or updates, but you have that master list year after year after year. So that was really, really helpful for us. And I would recommend that you try to do something like that as well. Here in Arkansas, we found that the sponsorships that we got, the most success we had with sponsorships was when our board members, committee members, or our active walkers were the ones reaching out. That personal connection, that personal story, again, is so important and can make all the difference in the world. So I would just really encourage you to start with your current, foundation of volunteers, whether that is your board members, committee members, or current walkers. One other thing, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around here, Cothren, with these slides. So one other thing I think that can be really difficult for people is asking for sponsorships. And I think if you rethink the way that you think about sponsorships, that's going to be really helpful. It's not like you're asking for money for yourself. You are asking for this company to join with us in the fight against suicide. You're asking them or giving them an opportunity really to partner with us and show the community that they do care about this and why it is so important. And the thing about it is most companies actually have money set aside in their marketing budget for sponsorships and charitable giving. Somebody's going to get it, right? So why not be us? So you're not going to get it if you don't ask. So go ahead and ask and change the way you think about it before you go in to make that ask. You are giving them a wonderful opportunity to give and to partner in the fight against suicide. And so yeah, you can go on to the next slide, Cothren. I think I touched on all that. And yes, don't be afraid to think outside the box. So working with your area director, you can really customize your sponsorship benefits in your packet. So once you start building these relationships with these people at these companies, you're going to get an idea of what they're looking for. So just know that there is some flexibility with those sponsorship packets, and you can really work with your area director to make it perfect for that company. Also, if you have another walk in the area, so you have a campus walk, maybe you have a community walk close by, you can actually create a sponsorship where they're not only sponsoring your walk, but they're sponsoring a community walk. Or you could even do a chapter-wide type of sponsorship if you have other events like Hike for Hope or anything else, and you can combine all of that into one larger sponsorship. So just know that there is flexibility there, and you can really customize these packets. So also, I'm assuming that you all are on Chapterland, but if you're not, that there are some great resources on there. The sponsorship packets on there. Again, work with your area director on customizing that. And there's a lot of other helpful information. You know, some companies want our tax information. All of that can be found on Chapterland. There's also an elevator speech. So if you're not comfortable or you're not sure what to say when you reach out, you can go on Chapterland and take a look at that elevator speech. And there's some other great resources there as well under sponsorships, under the walk manual. So I think that is it for sponsorships. Oh, no, sorry. In-kind sponsorships. There's a lot of different in-kind sponsorships. So there's advertisings. For instance, our UGA Walk, we have radio stations in Russellville, and they have several different stations, and they promote our walk for free. So we give them an in-kind sponsorship in exchange. Also, if you have committee meetings that you regularly need a space to meet, or you want to have some sort of a fundraising event leading up to your walk, if they're willing to donate the space, you can give them an in-kind sponsorship. Also, if you have any sort of auction, silent auction, or a raffle, or even door prize giveaways, if a company says no to a cash donation, the next thing I would say is, okay, well, we'll check back in next year for a cash donation. However, there are several other opportunities. We'd love for your company to have a walk team. If they're not willing to do that, well, do they have a service, or do they have a product that they can donate to your silent auction or your raffle? So I would just, you know, if it's a no, I would offer these other options. And a lot of times, if they're willing to actually form a company team, more than likely they're going to raise more that way than a sponsorship. So don't be afraid to give those other options to the companies as well. And I believe that's it then. Oh, this is just a slide with some examples. We have a really great relationships with mental health organizations. And then these are just some other in-kind donations we got. Starbucks always gives us coffee for our walkers and volunteers. Stobie's restaurant has donated food and drinks. So really think outside the box, be creative, think of ways if a company can't give a cash donation, what are some other ways that they can support your event? All right, and I'll turn it back over to Cothren.
Thank you, Wendy. So we're going to have some time for discussion, but real fast, we just wanted to kind of recap some of the things that everybody talked about here today. So thank you so much, Eden and David and Sarah, for the great ideas of things that worked for you when you were on your campuses and doing certain things, and for the great ideas with the sponsorship and all that. You know, you touched upon reaching out to school organizations and groups being one of the key measures for success. And don't forget about the alumni group. So it's not only the students that are currently on campus, but also don't forget the alumni groups love to, stay in contact and love to, support the schools in various ways. So they're a great resource for you as well. The different student organizations, Sarah talked about how she, really focused on finding those that, were mental health aware and involved and things like that, and kind of starting there and then spreading it out from there, and the power in the different partnerships with these different organizations. Greek life. David, thank you so much for telling us so much about your fraternity and the ways that you did. I loved that you had that short time frame, that 1 week kind of push to get things started and really kind of have people jump on that right away. Reach out to that main point of contact. There might be a mental health ambassador within each of the different organizations. And that way you might be able to find about, what they are supporting and where they might have some funds that they might be able to donate to you. The different programming and competition, of course, we all love a friendly competition. The off-campus fundraisers, those different percent nights that are possible there. Not only is it restaurants, but it's different stores and things like that that might do it as well. I know Kendra Scott Jewelry often holds a percent night for us. They'll do it online as well as in the store. So don't just limit yourself to restaurants, but think of different areas that you might be able to get involved with as well. And then pick up an event locations and things like that. That was a great idea of bringing, one of your sales to a percent night. There's also ways if you're going to have a t-shirt pickup or something like that, you might be able to have that done at a location and get things involved there. So different things that might be able to bring people to a business that would get that business involved and help with the awareness and the promotion of the walks. Reaching out to local media, make sure that you're using your campus media, but make sure you're also using your community media there as well, reaching out to the different newspapers and radio stations that might be willing to support that, as well as television stations. Use your personal story. That is what people love so much. They love to hear why you're involved and have you then say, join me in being involved. They want to help you. They want to support you. So that personal story is that grab that tugs at the heart. And when you tug at the heart, that opens the wallet. Use community calendar listings everywhere that you can. Make sure your event is posted absolutely everywhere you can get that. We talked a little bit about, receiving something tangible or receiving that feeling. You're either out with your friends having that good time, or you're walking away with a little keepsake. It might be a succulent. It might be a laptop sticker. It might be something that says you're a proud supporter, or a button or a pin that you can wear. So look into different things that you can do there that are very low in cost, because you want to keep your expenses down, because you want the money to go to the mission. But then there might be something that you're able to do, or better yet, you might have one of those in-kind sponsors be able to make a donation to you of some things that you can give away. So always be thinking about different people that you can get involved, different companies that you can get involved in that way. Be creative, create interactive experiences. It was funny to hear David talk about Suicide Sucks, because I know Sarah used that as well when she did her Succulent Sale with the picture here. Her theme for that was Suicide Sucks, succulents. So, find those different things to create that interactive experience. Do those shout outs that David was talking about, and so many things that Eden was talking about getting those different groups involved and the fraternities involved in her give back nights and things like that. Color pages are a great thing that you can do as an interactive, and there's a ton of them available to you on Chapterland. So go check that out for sure. Those power hours or push days. This is kind of a different name for what David was talking about, where he had a very short period of time that they were putting the message out there and asking people to get involved in a short time frame. Set an attainable goal so that way you can celebrate it and you can shout it out. And your goals can be twofold. It could be the amount of money that you're raising, or it could be the amount of people that you're registering, or it could be the number of organizations that participated that day. So there's different ways to set your goals that you would then be able to shout out in different ways. Again, the incentives, and key to all that is, as everybody talked about today, is promotion, getting that word out, getting those flyers and those posters across campus, getting those emails out there, using your social media, using your newspapers and your media and things like that. And who doesn't like a friendly competition? Everybody loves it. So you can do a friendly competition between fraternities and sororities there on your campus. You can actually take it to rival schools as well. Here in North Carolina, the battle of UNC and Duke is huge. So, being able to play off of that in some ways, and get people involved and use the social media involved with that. That is something, school pride is something people can walk away with and feel really good about, that costs nothing. And personalize your approach. We talked about sharing your story, and that it's your story that grabs people. So do that through social media. Do that through your web page. When you register for the walk, you get your own web page. Personalize that page. Put pictures up there and tell a little bit about your story, about why you're involved and why you're asking people to support you with this. And then again, we can't say it enough. Use social media. We've got some great graphics that we put together that we design. They're all on Chapter Lane. You can also get with your area director for help with that. You know, we want to be able to keep that message fresh for you. And so there's a lot of different social media graphics there that you can change up over the time that you're using as you're getting closer and closer to your walk. So use them for a call of action. Use them as you're doing that push time. Use others just to kind of keep it throughout the year, maybe you know, on people's minds and things like that. But you can use social media to really tailor your approach to what your message is at that particular moment and change it up when you're ready to focus on the next part of that. So now we really wanted to just take a time to open the mic up to everybody else. Please take yourself off mute. Shout out, ask any questions, give us some great ideas from something you might have seen at a walk or something you tried at a walk that went really well for you. If you have any questions for Eden, Sarah, or David, they said they were open to answering them. They're happy to be here as a resource for you as well as we are. So please go ahead and take yourself off mute. I'm going to stop sharing my screen actually so that we can see each other a little bit better. But we just wanted to share a couple of these pictures of some of the great walks that have been out there. And again, thank you for everybody in these pictures for all these great events we've had. So let me stop share so we can see everybody on the screen, and take yourself on mute and go ahead and jump in with any questions that you have. Okay, then we're going to ask a question. How have other people done the different percent nights other than a restaurant? Has there been any other business that you've been able to utilize that for?
I know in the past we have had some success using local breweries. We actually have a brewery here in Birmingham that does regular give back nights, and so it was as easy as, or give back weeks even, and so it was as easy as us just kind of like getting on the docket for their schedule. But I've heard of other breweries being open to that as well, and it's kind of a fun social way. I know that may be a bit difficult with the pandemic, but we have used them in the past.
Yeah, we had a percent night, or yeah.
I love that idea.
Sorry, what?
Go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry. We had a percent night set up with one of the really big distillery bars on Franklin Street called Top of the Hill, Topo. And they were gonna let us choose one of their highest selling beers. And whenever people come into the restaurant and order that beer, then they would donate a percent of that sales back to us. Unfortunately, COVID happened, so we didn't get to do that. But I do know that some states, it depends on your state, but in North Carolina, they've recently passed a bill that allows restaurants to sell alcohol to go. So you could potentially see if that law is in your state, and if you can do that and do some sort of, I don't know, like Hops for Hope event or something. Make it like clever.
Hops for Hope, I love that.
Yeah, I don't like beer, but it doesn't work for me, but it works for other people. Something that I forgot to mention.
So what are some other challenges?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Something I forgot to mention when I was talking about the succulent sale was when I was trying to source the succulents, because they're not super easy to find. I found a succulent nursery out in California that had pretty good reviews, so I was going to go with them. And you have to choose what date you want it delivered, and they're very finicky when they're being transported across the US, because it was going from California to North Carolina. So I had to pick exactly when my event was so that they could schedule the delivery for right before that event so that they would be fresh when I sold it. And so I contacted them through email, And I was just letting them know what the event was. I was letting them know that it was a charity event for suicide prevention. And the owner of the nursery had a connection to suicide. So she gave us a friends and family discount too. So whenever you're contacting these people to set up, whether it's a percent night or if you want some sort of in-kind donation, or if you just want to set up some sort of fundraising event on the side, always let them know that it's for suicide prevention, because they're probably going to be more likely to give you a pretty good discount.
So Eden was saying in the chat that she had great success in reaching out to graduate school clubs. So that is definitely a great tip. Anyone in particular, Eden, that you found most success with, or just kind of in general?
Kind of in general, we spoke at different events that some of the graduate schools were hosting for their clubs. Like I remember going to the pharmacy school and speaking at their chapter event for their organization, but mostly just like reaching out to any of the counseling programs here at UGA, social work, different things like that is mostly what we found success with.
That's great. And David has said in the chat that if anybody needs ideas to get started with the campaign examples, social media push, anything like that, he's happy to have you reach out to him. He's got his email address there, and we can also share that after the fact if anybody needs that. And Megan says Blaze Pizza does great give back nights. So if people have Blaze Pizzas in their area, check them out. We are coming upon the end of our hour. Does anybody have any other last comments? Anything they'd like to share?
Thanks so much for hosting this.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you guys for being part of this. Thank you, Eden, David, and Sarah so much for speaking tonight. We can't thank you enough for joining us. And again, thank you all for being leaders for the Out of the Darkness campus walks. You know, it's a challenging year with the pandemic. We're having to look at things with new approaches, but it's this kind of team that's going to make this all come together and just make this the best campus year we can ever have. So we are so excited to work with you. If you have any ideas, any suggestions, anything you want to throw out after the fact, don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you have anything, any resources that you need, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are going to do, are recording this right now, so we can share this and send this link out. So one, you can either watch it again if you wanted to for any ideas, anything you wanted to go back to, or if you wanted to share it with other people that are helping you plan the walks, please go ahead and share. Stuart, Wendy, anything you'd like to add in closing? All right, well, thank you guys so much. We truly appreciate it. And we will see you soon and can't wait to work with you on this wonderful year. Take care, everybody.